Hello and welcome to my channel, Astral Ascension. Today I'm going to be talking about a connection in Synastry, Moon conjunct South Node. So know when I do speak about this connection, I am speaking from personal experience, having gone through a relationship where this aspect was present, and I'm also speaking from my own intuitive understanding. So jumping right into it. Moon conjunct South Node is a very beautiful connection to have in Synastry, and it generally indicates that two people will feel immediately familiar with each other and will also quite quickly develop a strong emotional connection. So with this aspect, the moon tends to take on a very nurturing, almost motherly type role towards South Node. Of course, this doesn't mean that this is going to be the only dynamic present in your relationship, but it is definitely a strong one. So if you believe in reincarnation, this aspect indicates that in a past life, the South Node was dependent on the moon for care, whether that be protection, love, nourishment. In some way, South Node was depending on moon. So it could have been a parent, a spouse, a grandparent, a teacher. However it played out, it certainly did. And this actually could have played out over a number of lifetimes. So here it is innate to the moon to want to care for and protect South Node. And here with this aspect, the South Node feels very comfortable and safe being emotionally vulnerable with the moon person. They feel seen and understood in a way that they haven't before, and just naturally want to pour their heart out in this safe container. So with that being said, the moon person tends to feel all of the South Node's emotions as if they were their own, particularly the negative ones. And so when South Node has a problem or an uncomfortability or some kind of painful experience that they're going through, the moon wants to instantly jump in and fix, whatever the problem is. And in doing so, the moon is actually relieving both of them of their uncomfortability, since the moon is so attuned to feeling what South Node is feeling. Now, this can turn into quite a bit of a challenge because the moon person in some ways genuinely feels that they know what's best for South Node, that they may even know better than South Node what's best for them. And so there can be a lot of codependency that comes out of this. The moon is dependent on sort of that identity and feeling needed and feeling like they're the only ones who can provide what South Node is needing. And they can also be driven by a fear that, if they step away and don't try to solve all of the problems, that it's going to just blow up into chaos. They really think to some extent that that the South Node cannot do it without them. And of course, that is just a very unhealthy way to think and to relate to another. So that's some issues that can arise for the moon person, and the issues that as a result of that appear for the South Node person is that they become very codependent on them. They feel held back, or they might not even be aware that they're being held back. But in truth, if someone is always solving your problems for you, then that is preventing you from learning those lessons, and it's preventing you from that development and from that growth. So the two main keys here is that the moon person is becoming too wrapped up in feeling like they're the only ones who can provide what South Node needs, and the South Node person is being very held back by this. In addition to this, the moon person over a period of time will start feeling very energetically and emotionally drained, and like they're losing almost their own sense of vibrancy because they are essentially giving all of their essence to South Node person, improving, feeling better, doing better. and they're not giving that attention back to themselves. So these are some things to look out here for. With that being said, some advice. If you're experiencing this connection, if you are the moon person, you actually, whether you're the moon person or the south node person, you both really need to set some boundaries. Depending on the particular dynamic, the south node person may like, depending on the moon person, they may like them solving their problems for them, or they may feel hindered by it and they may feel frustrated and, you know, like the moon is an overbearing parent. So if that's the case, the south node needs to set boundaries here and say, hey, I understand you're trying to help. I value your insight, but what I really need from you right now is to just step back and let me solve this on my own. That's one example of a boundary you can set as south node. For the moon person, as I was saying, they may like being in this role, but after a certain point of time, they can start to feel resentment. They feel drained. So boundary for moon person to set is saying, listen, I love you. I'm here to support you, but I can't do this for you. You know, so I will support you in making the changes that you need to make, but I can't hold your hand the entire way through it and tell you what those changes are, because I need to focus on me. I can't show up for you fully if I'm not showing up for myself anyway. So these are just some things to be aware of. I will say it can be very difficult to put these boundaries up with each other because, for instance, let's say the moon really does feel drained, but also at the same time truly believes that south node cannot figure it out on their own. It can be painful for the moon person to kind of sit back and from their perspective watch, you know, the south node destroy themselves. But be aware, people are strong. They are much more resilient than they realize, and have a little faith in your partner. Just know if you step away and you can continue feeding them love and support, just not getting so involved that it's confusing whose issue it is to begin with, there's a good chance they will figure it out. They can do it. Believe in them, believe in their strength, see them in your mind's eye as the highest version of themselves. And stop believing that you know better for them, because maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. So that was a lot, but in spite of, you know, all the challenges and everything I discussed, it is a very powerful connection. It's going to be a very tight bond. Whether, you know, the relationship in the physical reality lasts forever or not, you two will always share a very strong affinity for each other and lots of love and tenderness. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please just drop them below. If you have any requests, drop them below, and please subscribe.